This is our painting that's called Lions. It's a lioness and baby cub. And I want to put this up here and put this over here. Make sure that we're still in view. What colors I've got are white and yellow and green, navy blue, yellow, brown, white, yellow, green, blue. This is the navy blue, the ultramarine, brown, and black. And people did different color backgrounds when we did this the other night. They did pink, they did lavender, yellow, orange even, so that's fine. Otherwise, the colors pretty much stay the same. I'm going to use my, I've gotten to where I'm using now older large angle brushes that are a little fluffy for my big areas instead of the big brushes. I'm using a small brush, and I'm using one of the 1/4 inch angle brushes that you can get in the $8 packs at Michael's. So those are great. You can get 8 of them, plus 8 pointy brushes, plus a lot of other brushes too. I think I've shown you all those before. Okay, I'm going to do my sensor with my angle brush. I'm going to draw it out. And with this painting, what we ended up doing when we drew it out was, it's pretty intense as far as drawing it, was just be really conscious of the original. We look at the original, look and see what's happening with it, look and see how things relate together, although as always there's a lot of play in it. We found the middle and put a little mark, and then we went up a little bit higher, a couple of inches, put another mark like that. Now my head is a little bit low in the center of the painting, so what I did was, if this was a couple of inches, I came down a little bit further, like right about here. So that's going to be 3 inches. So that's about 4 or 5 inches. But the center of my canvas is in the middle here, so the circle is going to be low because I'm closer and further away. And then without getting too involved in a bunch of other marks, I just drew a circle around like this, kind of out like that, maybe a little bit closer over to the left side, I mean the right side, just a little bit over, so a little bit rounder to the right like that. So here's my basic circle. And then from there, we looked at the kind of at clock points on the baby's head. Right about 10 o'clock right here, we did a curve that came up and back like that, and this comes up and back, and it comes about halfway over between the side of the head and the side of the canvas, okay? Then the mama's shoulder comes down here and leaves a little space right there, which is going to be dark, so about like that. And then we skip down to about here, because here comes the mama's arm, and the mama's arm comes down about the same distance as that is, roughly, and then went straight over. So this comes down maybe 2 or 3 inches, and then curves and goes over like that. It goes off the side. Then the baby's ear is going to be a little curve that's going to go out about 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. About like that, 1 o'clock. Now, here's where I'm going to bust out. I'm going to curve up a little bit like that. I'm going to curve up a little bit like so. And then a little bit outside the circle, and then come around like that, and then come down in the circle. So I get like 2 little curves like so, and then a little curve like this, which is on the inside. So this curve looks like this curve. This is outside of the circle, but these curves are about the same. We have something similar to that. And then the mother's little, like her little cheek flap, it comes down from here over the baby's head, and then up some like this, so it goes up like that, so it's like a little backwards Nike swoosh like so. And then so then the baby's head is basically this, comes around like that, and here, and around like so. Right about here on the baby's back, the baby's ear, is the back, and that part is somewhere right around there, about halfway down the ear, about like there. That curves out a little bit, and then just kind of curves down and kind of curves over like so. So just a little S curve kind of like that. Just let it curve out a little bit. And then the baby's hand, the paw comes over. I could come out a little bit further. And then the baby's little paw starts like here and kind of comes over like this a little bit. Like that, just kind of comes right over like that. And then actually I should have come down all the way. I shouldn't have done that. I should have come down. Do the mama's hand first. The mama's hand it starts here and comes over like that. I would do that before you do this. Sorry about that. So this comes down to there. If you do that, it's okay, but just make sure that you bring the mama's hand over. So this is the mama's hand, this is the mama's arm, this is the baby's shoulder, comes down, and this is the baby's arm. So you kind of get how it looks. And you've got an original, or you should, so you can see how things look. Okay, then over here, I'm going to do the baby's nose. And the nose and snout are going to start somewhere right around a little bit, like maybe around 8 o'clock. So if that's 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock's right about there. I'm going to come in just a little bit like that. I'm going to curve out beyond the circle, okay? And then I'm going to curve back around like this and then come back to my circle and keep it coming like so. And then what I've got is the snout. So right here, this gets kind of tight in here. This is going to be the baby's nose. It's like a little pickle or a little, like a little crescent. It starts here, curves up like that a little bit, and then comes down around like that a little bit, like that. And then over here somewhere is the baby's mouth that comes down there. So here's the bottom of the baby's muzzle. Here's the bottom of its chin, and then this part protrudes all beyond the mama's hand, the mama's shoulder. And then we got to make sure that our tear ducts line up. So look at the angle of your own ear. Here's the first tear duct here, and the other tear duct over here, a little bit further than that. This is going to be two little smiley curves, so be sleeping like that, little sleepy eyes like that. And then on this side is going to be a tear duct that comes down like this, and that just kind of angles down. But this is the eye, this is the eye. We want those tear ducts to line up in the same angle as the ear and the eyes are. And then beyond that, I can go up and start working on the mama's face, her profile, and her mouth is going to start here and curve behind the ear and come over and up. And what I wanted to do is swing out and up about halfway to the top. So what I want to do is look up from the high part of the baby's ear about halfway to the top, right about there. And then I'm going to make a curve that bows out. So halfway to the top, a little curve that bows out like that. It curves out like a parenthesis, like that. And then the mouth is going to stick out. It comes up about here, about maybe 4 o'clock on that shape. But I need for the mama's muzzle and her chin to be about at the same vertical plane. So when I bring this out, it comes out like that, so it's more pleasing. It doesn't jut out. Okay, it's just this is like in the same vertical plane there. However, and this is really important, on the nose is going to angle up a little bit like this, up and out at the top of the nose, but the nose has got to stick outside of the muzzle. It's got to stick out some. A lot of my people were going high with this and bringing it down, so it was still in line with this. This must be out further, okay? Must be out further. You can kind of see it's coming together. And then over here, I'm going to look for about the middle of my painting, which is right about there, put a little mark about in the middle, and then drop down about an inch, inch and a half, right about there, like so. That's roughly the high part of the mother's brow. And so from there, I'm going to angle down a little bit, just a little bit, and then go out and over, and kind of let that curve a little bit, like that, let it curve a little bit. And then I'm going to come back and down a little bit. Don't let the brow stick up too high. I'm going to come down just a little bit and then up a little bit over and then kind of take it off the side. So on the side over here, I'm down about an inch, inch and a half from the side of the canvas. And then the eye of the mama is going to be down from the high part of the brow, come down about an inch and a half or so. Put a little mark right there, and then the eye comes back from there like that. And then the tear duct comes down like this. There's a couple little small lines that we'll add to it, and I'll be right back. Okay, back to work. We've got to put in the ear, and the ear is going to come down from the top up here, kind of curve down and over like that, and it comes in roughly even with this point, which remember was like halfway from here to here. So kind of like that, kind of angles down. That's the top of the ear. And then right here, I'm going to do another one of these little backwards Nike swooshes. And it's going to look like the baby's ear somewhat, but as it folds over, it comes down and under like that. So it's like a little S curve. And then I'm going to drop straight down, not quite halfway to my jaw there, but about the same distance as that, maybe a little bit lower. And then that's just going to be the same curve as that. It comes up like that, just curves under and up, And there we have it, okay? And that is the whole drawing part. Now, after we did that, I had everybody come back through and paint all their lines brown. Lightly brown. I probably shouldn't have had them do the top line because we're not going to actually outline that. I wouldn't do the top line up there, but I've already done this on mine, so I don't need to do it for you. But remember, if we do extra lines like here, we don't want that, you know. We want to make sure we don't paint what we don't want. So like over here, we only paint this brown. We don't paint this part, which is part of the circle brown. All in through here, we're only painting the parts that we want on the final painting brown. So so anyway, once that's done, then we're going to get our large brush and start painting color. Always make sure that everybody's got their lines dry. We just run our fingers through them, make sure that they're dry. They should be, but sometimes they get a little bit of deposits at the end of them. So my first step is going to be to paint the light parts as usual. My lines look pretty dry. I'm going to run my fingers through them. Mine aren't quite dry, but they're going to be. That's not dry at all, but they'll be fine. If I smear a little bit, it'll be okay. But you don't want to smear. You want to make sure these are dry before you start, and they dry pretty quick. Okay, whites. This is white. This is all white up in here. Now, I like to put a little bit of yellow there, just a little teeny bit. I don't want it to turn yellow though, just a little bit of yellow, just has a little bit of a cast of yellow. But look and see on the paintings, there's yellow here, back behind the head. I'm sorry, white I should say, white with a little touch of yellow there. Lots of paint, make sure they use lots of paint, and we're going over our lines. The reason we painted them brown is so we can see them. So go over your lines, paint all of this white in through here, down around like that. Lots of paint so we can easily come back in and make it thick and blend it some. And that's white. And that little part of the baby's mouth is white right there. Don't worry about the white on the eyes. We'll just paint that with white paint. Then I'm going to start, and also to under the mama's eye and above her eye too. So just all around her eye, you just paint white. Now I'm going to get lots of yellow on my white and put some yellow up there like that, and a little bit of brown. A little bit of brown, and start blending around some. Blending around, and I'll probably get some more white. And just start lightly working it. Again, there's a lot of play in what kind of colors are going to look good here. But I'm going to bring this around like this, kind of lightly blend it in with the white part of her eye like that. Bring this over, bring it up around the eye here. And try to think of it in terms of being you know, the fur of the mama, not just color. So as I bring this around here, I want to blend this light yellow-brown into the white so that I don't get big separations there. They blend together. That's why I painted my white up a little higher so I can blend to it. And then over here, I'm going to paint the inside of the ear, so maybe it's a smidge darker, just a smidge darker, and through there just a smidge. And then in the upper part, a little bit darker up there also. A little bit darker up there. Of course, we're going to lose a little bit of definition here, but we'll get it back when we do our lines. So that looks pretty good. And then there's a darker area under the ear, which is a shadow. That's under there. So I'm going to get more brown and paint that under there, more of a shadow under there. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off on the table some, pick up a lot more white and yellow, put that down here, put a little zigzaggy line across like that where my grass is going to go, but make sure it's a little lower than you think it's going to be because I don't want to have a lot of white that I have to cover making my grass go higher. So about like that's fine. The grass will cover the yellow-brown just fine. Now this is a lot of white and a little bit of yellow all through like this. And I'm brushing this along. Here's her arm is doing this. So I'm going to brush the paint like that too. And get a little touch of brown on it, a little touch of brown. And take that all around here, around the baby's face, all around like that. That's the baby's face there, all around like that. And all long, light, long strokes like that, long strokes, to get the nap and the lay of the fur. And this comes up like that, works a little bit into that little whitish area. And then also over here it's a little darker, so I'm gonna put a little more brown in there, a little bit of shadow, a little bit of the dark area from the lower part of her body so that it looks like it's more, you know, it's shadow down there. It has more weight to it if I paint it a little heavier like that. That looks good. All right, then her hand is kind of the same color as I end up with over here. So I'll go ahead and paint that. It's just a little darker. I got that nasty brown line there, but that's okay. I'm gonna paint this over. That's because I painted it too far and I was using brown instead of yellow. So kind of like that looks good. Okay, then the baby. Now the baby's littler, and so the baby's got a lot of more concentrated color. It's a little bit less white with more yellow, but just not too much brown. But you do need a little bit of white on there. And I'm going to brush these little shorter strokes because I want the baby to be just to show more of the small fur that's all kind of clumping together, like you'd see on a cat or a little dog. So he's gonna look a little more with a little more short strokes inside, kind of like that. A little bit more brown behind the ear, coming around like that because there's a little shadow there. A little bit more brown coming up from the chest. So the chest is there. Remember, here's my arm, so kind of back like that, a little bit more of that. A little bit more brown. I'm gonna turn my brush upside down, a little more brown in there, like that. And then the rest of it's gonna be more just the kind of yellow and white and brown, not so dark, around like that. Don't forget, you got the ear up here. The ear can have a little bit of, maybe a little touch of brown on the upper part to get a little shadow from the mama's face. It all comes around like that. Nose and a little bit more brown, maybe a little bit more kind of brushed out from the cheek like that, but it's kind of nuanced. The lines are going to be what brings it all together. So that looks pretty good. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so there's the baby and the mama, and now I'm going to paint my background, and my background is going to be white and blue. Rinse out my brush, dry it off. I like to prime it in the blue, just dip in the blue and then paint the table some so you don't have a lot of brown left on your brush. And then scoop up the white, a little bit of blue. These are different kind of strokes because it's still with a big brush, but these are a little shorter strokes. Kind of can do more X-y because we're not trying to show anything in particular except just color and sky. So I'm just going to do a little kind of lightly back and forth strokes. Now, when I go along here, I want to go right up against the mama's, this is the final edge of the mama's head. And some of our folks got a little bit too heavy on the brow there, so I'm going to take mine off a little bit too. But once I paint all this out, it's going to be a nasty little brown spot. I'm going to take this little stripy edge here, and like we're just going to brush it away like we do with the kids' paintings, brush the edge away. Got a nice little edge there now. Come around the nose, come around the mouth, and go over the brown lines so you don't see too much of it. And then brush those little stripy edges away, all down, up and away like that. Easy, easy, easy. And I'm going to pause for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to rinse out my brush a little bit and get some yellow and paint my grass. A scoop of yellow, a little bit of green. I'm going to work it around a little bit down here, kind of get my color working. And then hold my, this is the big brush still, hold my brush points down, so it points down, go up like that into the fur, and try to make these look like they're reasonably similar in height, but not mown, you know, not like that, like I mowed the grass and it was all the same height. So, but again, at the same time, I don't want it to look, you know, too even. So I'll do a few high ones here, a few lower ones there. Some lighter, some darker. After I go through it all, lots of yellow, a little bit of green, then I will, again, all the strokes are up, and make sure I get everything filled in so I don't get little like white gaps in through there. And then once that's done, I will get some green paint and get a little bit more weight down there at the bottom by running some green strokes up, like down like that. I'm actually trying to catch the bottom of the canvas because it's sitting out on the edge of the tray there. It's just easy to kind of pull some green ones up. And so that looks more like a little blurry kind of environment in the foreground, so we see more focus on the mama and the cub, and the grass is more kind of out of focus. We don't put an outline on that or anything. Okay, so that's that. That's the end of that. And once that's done, then I will rinse out that brush and dry it, and I will go to my angle brush, and actually, no, I'm going to go to the small brush. No, check that. We're going to go to the small angle brush, and what we did next was we got ourselves a little wash of brown. So we got some brown, we got some water, and this isn't for much. It's just for the little mouth or nose whisker marks on the mama. And so it's gonna be a wash, which is kind of white and I'm sorry, not white, brown and water. I'll turn this angle brush upside down like we do for the other cat whisker marks because I don't want it to look like polka dots. I'm gonna put 3 little marks like right over here, just 1, 2, 3, like that kind of in a row. But then I'm gonna curve them down lightly and so that my fur, so they're gonna follow the same basic flow. Those are a little bit too brown. Need a little more water in it. So I'll come down like that, there we go. And just so, it's basically the same pattern, but looks kind of messed up and messed up by the fur, and maybe a few little random ones too, but that's basically it, you get the idea. Okay, then, did we use an angle brush or anything else? I don't think so. I think the rest of it was with the small brush. Okay, small brush. Now with the small brush, I'm going to start off with a little bit of brownish black. So here comes the small brush. We don't use this brush a lot, but I've got so much little bits of fur edging that I want to make sure that I have a good turning radius. So I'm using this brush. I'm going to get some brown and a little bit of black and mix them together so I got a little brownish black to start with. And I'm going to make a little line and show people, you know, the kind of line that we want to do, which is going to be a little bit of a zigzaggy line, but not too obviously like a sawtooth edge where it's very, very similar. I'll start right here, right there, just lightly going to paint down a little bit. A nice little line right along the edge, and we don't care if we're a little bit outside in the background or if the background's inside, a little bit inside the cub, it's okay. But this is going to go all the way down to the mama's hand, which is right here, like that. This is a little softer, so I'm using a brownish black here to make some of my lines a little bit softer. I'm going to come around the baby's hand like that, and what else do we do that color? Oh, I use that same color to do the little marks on the babies. So she's smaller and more concentrated. So I did a few little lines back. Now make sure you see where we are. We're like 3 there, or like 2 or 3. I just did 3, or I'm sorry, 2, because I'm kind of short on space there. But this is going to curve back up, like this curved out. So here's the face hanging down. So those go back this way, kind of like whiskers would be, but they're not whiskers. They're just little whisker marks, and they're just little small little marks and more concentrated because it's the baby. So, and then I did a little bit of this. Here's the eye right here. It's going to be under the eye, a few little lines. This is just little wrinkly coloration lines that I did more with the brownish black. And then above the eye, there's a few little wiggly lines that kind of come up like this on both sides. And that's just kind of part of the baby's coloration, but also part of the wrinkliness of it. And this is brownish black. Mine's a little bit smeary because it's wet, but it'll be okay. And then if you've got some room over here, you can see it. You can do it inside this darker area, but that's pretty shadowed. So that looks good. And then once that's done, I'm going to move on to black now. I'm going to use black, and I'm going to get my same brush. I'm going to go ahead and finish working with the baby here. I'm going to start with the mama very lightly. I'm going to get a light little line here, and I'm going to zigzag this some. This is her hair. I'm going to do a few little up and down lines here because it's a little bit hangy there. The fur hangs down, come like that. Then her arm comes around, shoulder comes around like this, stops at the baby, picks up here where the baby's mouth is because the snout hangs over. And then this comes around like this, just easy, zigzaggy, slightly, around like that, all the way off the side. Light, like that. I'll put the little edge of the head there so I can put a shadow in there, because that's nice and dark shadow. And then this comes in from the side over here. This is the mama's hand coming back around like that. And then the baby, I'll do the mama's little cheek thing. It comes down like that, around like so, around and up like that. And then her mouth comes around. I'm trying to get the mama's parts done so that we can paint the baby around it. Now depending on how this worked out with yours, the ear might go a little bit in front of, or just to the edge of the mama's mouth. We're trying not to get this too smiley. So this is more of a serene line. Comes around like this, so this doesn't go up too high, in other words. Then it comes out the other side like that, or it just goes across the top, and then just lightly, I'll paint this up like this, up, all the way to there, like that. Then this comes out lightly, around like here to here, like that. And then I'm back to the baby. This is going to be a very light little line, zigzaggy little line up like that, a little bit in front of the mouth or up to the mouth, either one is fine. Then there's a little shadow back here, lightly, little shadow back here on either side of the ear. And then this part of the baby's ear is a little bit furrier because it hangs down some, so I'll make that a little bit furrier, kind of like a koala. And then the top's a little furrier too, so that's a little furrier in here. It's a little wet. That's a little bigger line there. Maybe even a little bit of black underneath it, like so. And then on the baby, I'm going to come down here and paint, I'll go ahead and paint the nose. The nose comes around like this, and around like that, and there's my little shape I'm painting in. And then lightly, I'm going to paint the little zigzaggy line, comes down like that, all the way back, a little bit, like about halfway back to the ear, like to there. And then I've got the little mouth that comes around like this, like so. And then the nose bridge, oh, let's go ahead, yeah, the nose bridge comes like here, down, 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 like there. And then the eyes, remember, tear duct, and then the eye comes down like that, nice little eye. And then the other eye comes like this, tear duct, straight across, comes like that. And then there's a little bit of a line that comes down, a little tear duct line there. And a little line that goes up like that, just a little line to give me a little bit of dimension there. And then the baby's head is going to come around. It's actually, this is not the baby's head, this is the mama's jaw. So this is going to be more like this, it comes more down like that. So it looks more like it's the mama's jaw hanging down, but it might look like the baby's head too. Either way is fine. But I do need to bring the baby's head around from here. This is the baby's head again. Comes around like this, comes around like that, down, 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 until I get to the end like so. And then I need to paint a little bit of dry brushing, which is going to go in this area here, which is going to dab off my brush some so it's not too heavy, and brush that up in this area back like that. So this is a little bit darker inside here. You see there's a lot to this painting, but we're just following along, trying to replicate what's been done, so it's not too daunting. And then this comes up like this, up, 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 up. Get a little dry brush and come back like that. Softly, easy, so it looks more shadowy in there. I'll make sure I don't lose this hand edge here. And then this comes up like that. And then that looks cute, okay? I might bring this shadow up a little bit higher like that, a little bit. And so it looks all cute, okay? Let's see. Anything else on the baby's face? I don't think so. Okay, then on the mama's face, let's go to the eye. The tear duct is here. So the line comes down like that. And then the other part of the line comes down like this, thicker and then thinner like that. So thicker than thinner. Then a really scratchy line comes down a little bit like this, not too short, just a little short. No, I mean not too like some people just put a mark there, but you want that to look a little bit more like it forms a little shape there, a shadow. And then this comes up like this again, very lightly and kind of sketchily like that, up and over like that. And then the nose of the mama is smooth on the outside like that, but the top part is going to be more furry because it's actually the top of the fur coming down over the nose like that. And then it gets painted in black, more or less filled in. And then over here on the ear, on the mama's ear, is the, this is going to be nice and kind of hanging down like that, kind of hanging down some, like so. And then maybe a little bit of dry brushing underneath it because there's a shadow under there. Okay, that's the shadow of the flap that you're hanging down. And then this under here is the bottom of the ear, so that's going to be a little not scratchy, just a little bit sketchy, zigzaggy. And then I think one thing we did when we finished, that's about it. But one thing we did when we finished was we got a little bit of the brown wash, a little bit of a brown wash, and just so it doesn't get too heavy, we painted the mama's top of her ear a little bit more softly like this. And that kept it from getting too heavy up at the top because we don't want to put it heavy at the top. This is not outline. That's just the edge of the fur against the sky. If people don't like that, they can put an outline there. But the weight is at the bottom, so we want to put weight on the bottom by adding lines to the bottom only. And I think and one more thing, get a little bit of white paint. And this kind of helps to pull the baby out a little bit. There's a little bit of white right here and here on the baby's eye. That really helps pull the baby's eye out. And then over here, I'm only going to do it on the top because the bottom part is more in the shadow. So that makes the baby look all cute. And I probably did that a little strong, but you get the idea. Stronger can help a little bit. Okay, y'all, that's it. Good luck with it.